Alright, Schlockmeisters fans, another review of my previous channel, 1988's The Blob. Let's check it out. Alright, the film starts out at a high school football game. That's Paul, star football player, and that's Meg, star cheerleader. After a really hard hit on the football field, he asks her for a date.
Meg, any plans this evening?
Meanwhile, local bad boy Brian, played by Kevin Dillon, takes a spill. The sheriff's not a fan of him.
Now you mess up now, you're in the majors.
He's about to turn 18, no more juvie hall. Meanwhile, we've got ourselves what appears to be a meteor crash. Spotted by the old codger there. And guess what's in that meteor? It's the blob! Dude sticks a stick in it. Which is probably not a good idea. It's time for Paul and Meg's date.
What do you want?
Hi, I'm here to see Meg.
Brian stumbles upon that old guy in the woods who is chopping the blob off his hand, or trying to. And then the old guy meets Meg and Paul.
Jesus Christ, what'd you do to him? Yeah, I'm not the one who bounced him off my car.
They end up taking him to the doctor. Something's clearly not right. Called that one.
What is this? The thing on his hand.
That thing's coming for Paul next. Later on, a couple was making out in the car. He has stepped out for a bit. When he comes back, she's been blobbed. Brian's been detained.
He's too stupid to know how much trouble he's in. When you wise up, just placing him at the scene of the crime.
No motive, no evidence, didn't got a drop of blood on him. Hell, Flag's a punk, but he's no killer.
I think it's a mistake.
Well, your objection is duly noted. Now turn him loose, we got work to do.
Nobody believes me about what happened tonight.
What did happen?
You were there, you saw.
All I saw was an old man with a funky hand.
The man takes a stab at the clog. It chases them and they go into the freezer, which is very cold. And the blob won't follow.
The front door is locked.
That's okay. I got a key.
This is the local reverend. He thinks he's found a diamond or something, so he's going to take a sample of that frozen blob. As Meg and Brian run through the woods, suddenly the government is around. Could they have something to do with this?
What is going on over there?
The Blob is still around town, though. And in this ventilation shaft. So they've been detained.
No one else ever volunteered for the job.
But Brian is exiting. Meg's little brother is at the movie theater, and the Blob is there too. Meg gets there to try to save her brother. The meteorite has an American flag on it. Turns out this was a man-made thing to battle Russia in the Cold War.
Seems to have grown up into a plasmid life form that hunts its prey.
Of the sewer system, we'll contain it down there. I want that organism alive. What about the civilians? They're expendable.
Brian's on the run again. This time he's got his bike. And this time he's going to make that jump. Meg found her brother and her brother's friend Eddie, and they're in the sewer, escaping. And here comes the Blob. Eddie ain't gonna make it. Very Jason Voorhees-like. Brian shows up down there and he helps him escape. But as they're trying to escape, there's one of the
Close the manhole.
government guys down there too.
That's my man down there. We've got to contain that thing now. Close it off.
Thankfully, Brian had a big weapon.
You spread it thread through this place and kill all of you.
Listen to me, Briggs. Think for a minute. Do you suppose an army of guys in plastic suits show up every time a meteor falls?
The Blob is now rampaging through the streets. So they know that cold will stop this thing, so they get some liquid nitrogen together. Which basically causes winter, and our Blob freezes. But our film ends with this doomsday reverend who kept the peace.
The Lord will give me a sign.
All right, let's talk about The Blob. This is the 1988 version, a remake of the 1958 version, I believe, which I also have. There was also a sequel called Son of the Blob or Beware the Blob, which came out in 1971 or so. I have that one as well. But this one came out back in the 80s. Stars Kevin Dillon and Shawnee Smith. I think Shawnee Smith was also in the movie Summer School right about the same time. Same year, I think, actually. But anyway, what we have here, this meteor thing crashes from outer space. And this ooze, this jelly-like ooze comes out and attacks this old guy, a farmer or something who's out there. And a couple of kids stumble upon him. What are their names? Brian, Meg, and Paul. Meg and Paul, Shawnee Smith, and Donovan Leitch, I think, is the actor who plays. That's actually the son of the rock star Donovan, I believe. And they're kind of like the preppy couple in high school. They're not really a couple, but they've dated. And then Kevin Dillon plays Brian. He's like the bad boy, outlaw, leather jacket, motorcycle riding kid in the area. So anyway, they all stumble upon him. They take him to the hospital, and a little while later, it turns out his whole lower torso is being dissolved by this blob. Paul goes in there and he gets attacked by the blob and he dies as well. Shawnee Smith sees it happen and she takes off. So ultimately we have this creature, this blob, tearing up the town, swallowing people whole, killing them, that sort of thing. So it turns out this meteor that fell actually has a USA thing on it. It's a government created entity which is supposed to be used during the Cold War, apparently, and it was man-made. Eventually, of course, the monster creature gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It starts attacking this whole town, attacks a movie theater, which I think has also happened in the original Blob movie. Meg has to go in there to rescue her little brother and her friend. The friend ends up getting eaten by the blob later on in the sewers. So the thing attacks the town. At one point, Brian calls out the government bad guy and in front of the whole town. The creature attacks again, and Meg rescues this person who was on fire, this preacher guy, and she discovers that the creature doesn't like being hit with cold from the fire extinguisher, so that's what they figure will stop this thing. So they get a hold of this truck, which has a bunch of, I don't know, liquid nitrogen, I guess it is, in the back of it. Ultimately, they get it to run into the thing, it explodes, and then the whole blob creature is like crystallized into mush and frozen. And then I think they stored it and got rid of it. The last scene in the movie, though, this preacher who got horribly disfigured, burned by the blob, is still alive, still preaching, but he has a little piece of the blob, a live piece in a jar, and he says, you know, I'm just waiting for my calling or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he said, but that's how our movie ends. So it's obviously setting the door for another sequel, which to this day hasn't happened. This is a movie, you know, like I said, came out in the 80s when I was a kid. I always kind of enjoyed it, but it was okay, put it that way. But for some reason, and reasons I can't explain why, this movie's become like a cult film, has a really big following now. It's released on Blu-ray as well since then. People really, really dig this film. I don't quite understand why. I mean, it's okay. I like it. It's enjoyable. It's a easy, fun viewing, but cult status, I just don't get it. But maybe you can explain to me why I'm wrong. But anyway, it's not a bad film at all. I like it, and it is what it is. So anyway, that's The Blob. Ain't got much more to say about this. Check it out. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think about The Blob. Watch it. Bye.